Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Squared Circle Maniacs Pro Wrestling Podcast. My name is Johnny Bottles. Dr. Don Wayne is to my left, the neckbeard psychologist.
Why are
We're gathered, Don.
Why are you talking like we're at a wake?
We are at a wake, Don. It was a massacre last night. The sadomasochistic programming of AEW Dynamite was on last night on TBS, and it was the absolute disaster. The ratings have just come out. And Don, what were the ratings?
We're going to get into this. We're going to talk about that. We've got some news we're going to talk about. Raw was on fire. NXT didn't do great. AEW was worse. We're going to get into it. But the shit going off this week on the internet wrestling community. By the way, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. If this is your first time here, hit that like button.
Yes.
Hit that notifications button. We appreciate you guys and gals showing up. What the hell is wrong with the internet wrestling community this week? This has just been nonstop since Survivor Series, because we both agreed in the aftermath of Survivor Series, it was a very mid show. It didn't really deliver a whole lot. The main event wasn't great. They lost their tractor trailer heavyweight for the next few months because he might have snapped or at least severely sprained his damn ankle. It wasn't worth it to me in the long run to lose that guy long-term booking. Just my opinion, you shouldn't have 350-pound giants coming off the top of cages. Can we please stop doing ignorant-ass spots, WWE? Thank you very much. I appreciate watching this guy, and now he's gone. Who am I talking about, Johnny?
Bronson Reed.
He's gone for at least the next month or so because he injured his ankle doing that dumbass spot. NXT was on. We're going to talk about NXT and the ratings first because I feel like that's where the most pertinent situation that's going on right now. NXT did, I believe, 593,000 viewers this week on the CW, which if you don't know what the CW is, you're not alone. It's not the well-known area. It's a very small channel distribution. It ain't NBC or Fox or anything like that. It's a very small, very shite channel, to be quite honest. And they got a break because they had a couple $1 million they could throw NXT's way and outbid some of the other major cable networks. So good on them for at least getting some primetime programming. Some of the ratings have been really high. I've been impressed with some of the numbers. Last week just wasn't one of them. And the reason this is important is because Eric Bischoff was on the show.
Yes.
I didn't watch the show. I don't know did you watch the show? I'm just curious.
I recorded the show, but I did not watch it. I saw the clip of Bischoff. He was talking to Trick Williams. He was talking to, what the heck is that guy's name? The big, brawny guy that broke Big E's neck with that overhead suplex. He was in the Brawling Brutes.
Yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah. Let's not dwell on it. He was there. That's the most important part.
He was there, and everyone was all up in arms about the fact that Bischoff was back on TV. A man who they say doesn't know what he's talking about.
Is out of touch with reality.
Yes. Christopher Stikelether said it was Ridge Holland.
Was it Ridge Holland? Okay.
Ridge Holland. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Christopher.
Here's the thing. I don't care if Eric Bischoff is on my TV. I don't care. It's like a callback to an old star, right? He's an old star. He's an old hat. You know who he is. He's like a warm pair of comfy pajamas. Even if they got a hole in them, you're comfortable in them because you've had them for so long and they're worn in. That's how Eric Bischoff is in the wrestling business. What the neckbeards are outraged about is he has been, to put it bluntly, very adverse to their programming. He's been very combative on some of the things he's seen on AEW. He's been very open and honest about how he thinks this program is struggling and why it's struggling.
Yes. And they don't want to admit it.
You're going to my next point. And there's one thing that if you haven't noticed by now, when you talk to these AEW neckbeards, they will not have an open and honest dialect about their precious company. They cannot look you in the eye and say, you're right. That wasn't a very good show last night. It's always, well, this part was great and that part was really great and that part was awesome. And a couple of these parts weren't good, but they weren't terrible. Last night's show was the worst thing you can be in the wrestling business. It was boring as shit. It had no pop. It didn't come through my TV. Now, I'm not saying NXT did by any means. I didn't watch NXT. Like I said, I don't have enough time of the day to watch all this shit. But all you saw after that were the neckbeards howling at Eric Bischoff and the 593 that they pulled. The 593. You couldn't get 600,000 viewers with Eric Bischoff. You guys suck. Blah, blah, blah. And people said, look, man, it wasn't a particularly strong show. Whatever. You know, I still like WWE. And then this shit started. Then you're a pedophile. When did becoming a fan of a wrestling program make you a pedophile? Like it's getting out of hand with these morons. It's
Who
so
said
far.
that? What genius said that?
The neckbeards. It's all, they won't stop. They are literally attacking you for being a fan of a wrestling company. If you think WWE has a checkered past, wait till you hear about what Volkswagen came from. You're really going to cream your britches. Not every company has got a good history. There's been bad times in every company. And this is all stemming from a referee or some shit, a ring announcer, and the WWE from 40 years ago where these new accusations have come forward that he was apparently doing things he shouldn't have been. I'm going to leave it right there. But he's dead and can't defend himself. And it was 40 years ago and I wasn't there. And if it happened and they let it happen, they should pay.
When it all went down and it was taken to court back then, Mel Phillips, the black ring announcer, I'm just saying the black ring announcer because it was rare to see a black ring announcer on WWE programming at the time back in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was Mel Phillips. And Mel Phillips was the guy at that time, the ring announcer was in charge of organizing and mobilizing the ring crew, which was comprised of a ragtag group of carnies and 16-year-old boys to put the ring up and throw it in the truck and drive to the next town and do whatever. And he liked feet, basically, is what it is. He liked Mel Phillips.
I'm not going into all that. I'm not
saying it.
I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying, apparently he had a inappropriate relationships back then, and I don't care. I don't care. I wasn't there. If he did it, they should.
Well, why bring it up if you don't care? Why bring it up?
You asked
saying this so people know
where
what
the
we're talking about.
pedophile came from. You asked where the pedophile came from. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So now if you like WWE, that's the new name they're going to. They're still doing the same trope with Vince McMahon. He's a rapist. He's a sex trafficker. He's an alleged rapist and an alleged sex trafficker. He will have his day in court. This is the whole mindset of these marks is you are guilty until proven innocent. That's not how this works. There's fake lawsuits happening every day. People, billion-dollar companies settle lawsuits because it's cheaper to give you $100,000 to go away than to go through the entire rigmarole of going through the legal system. Because I'll say it now.
If these kids only knew what goes on, we're starting to see the tip of the iceberg with Diddy. What went on in the music business for the last 70 years? What went on in Hollywood? Walt Disney Corporation. I'll just drop that right there.
Oh, dear God.
Walt Disney Corporation. Down here in Orlando, Florida, south of me, they had a major bust of probably about 25 people recently who were engaged in human trafficking in the park. Disney employees. So
the employee is not indicative of the company's moral compass, is what I'm trying to say. So when you start labeling fans like this, you are officially going to begin building a humongous dam between you. And Tony Khan did no favors at the NFL draft when he said the WWE was the Ron Weinstein.
The who?
Ron Weinstein. What the hell's his name? Help me out here, man.
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. Sorry. Yes. Harvey.
Of professional wrestling. Yes.
Yes.
That's what he said.
So shut the hell up.
Ron Weinstein is his lawyer.
That's the guy that's his lawyer. Sorry.
I'm just saying.
I'm fed up with the nonsense where it's always, and this is where this all came from, was the former star known as Gold Dust put a tweet out there and said, why can't we all just love wrestling? Just love wrestling, all of it. We should all be so open to just accepting wrestling. Gold Dust, your boss, called the WWE a bunch of pedophiles. Fuck off.
There is no sex traffickers and
yes,
rapists and bald a-holes. If you remember that tweet he put out.
And I hate to be the guy to say it, but there is no more we're going to try to get along. You want to keep throwing these punches, to hell with it. Your company sucks. It's going down the toilet. Your ratings are ass. Everything you touch turns into shit. Everything you do is garbage or boring. Nothing you've done on this program in the past 6 months has drawn anybody any new interest. Nothing. There are no new fans. There is no one pining at your door to get into your show. There is nothing that I want to see on this program anymore. It is a bunch of weirdos that want to do gymnastic acts with a couple of professional wrestlers that got to deal with this shit. And last night was a prime example of all of those things coming to a head, because the opening match on AEW summed up the rest of the show to a T. They cannot handle a professional wrestling match with a professional wrestler, Johnny. And that first match last night said it all. And we're going to get to it in a minute, but I had to get that off my chest. Yes, right. Mike Digital, I will get that off my chest real quick.
Wow. I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom and slash my wrists. I'll see you.
But we do got to talk about our favorite wrestler, Ping Pong, because he made news right away. Bottles has completely disconnected. It's just going to be me now. I thought he was kidding at first. I don't know where the hell he just went. Ping Pong said when asked if he was custom made for AEW, absolutely. I'm not saying I'm the sole reason. I'm just saying if there wasn't Ricochet, there wouldn't be AEW.
I got out. I couldn't get back in.
Yeah, keep jerking around. That's a direct quote from Ricochet.
Keep jerking around?
That's not what he said. Well, pretty much he was jerking his own ego in this interview. I'm not saying this, I'm the sole reason that it happened, but I am saying what I have done with Ospreay, with Pac, with AR Fox, with Dragon Gate, with PWG, with everything overseas, New Japan, everything I've done in my past career helped set up a world where AEW can exist. No one knew who the hell you were worldwide. You were in a niche audience, Ping Pong. The niches of niche audience.
The whole product is for a niche audience. The whole product is. And you are correct. He wrestled under a mask for years of Lucha Underground as Prince Puma. I don't know if you remember that or not. You probably didn't follow Lucha Underground.
I've heard of him, but I didn't watch that shit.
Prince Puma. Conan was like partly booking that show, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but he was involved. He was on the show. And he wrestled as Prince Puma, and Conan spoke highly of the guy. But it's the same match.
Every time.
Every time.
And we've seen it now. Match. Every time.
Every time. And now he's jobbing.
We're going to get to that.
Who did he job to? Who did he job? Cesaro? Claudio Canoli?
I think so. Last week, wasn't it?
Last week he jobbed to him, and now he's wrestling on Collision. It's the worst. The worst.
AEW was going to exist with or without Ricochet because Tony Khan is a money mark that could not get out of his own way and was going to build his own favorite brand of wrestling. And we see where it's got him. Bottles, you and I have talked about this openly on this show several times. When he had CM Punk on the show, he was routinely drawing 200 and 300,000 more viewers for those segments that he was on. And we're going to talk about the WWE because guess what, Bottles? It remains true today. There is a segment of fans that only care about CM Punk. And when he's off their TV, they go away. That's all they want to see is the CM Punk angle. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have your favorite wrestlers.
Well,
I get it.
He does bring eyes to the other segments of the show. Let's not say, okay, CM Punk's going to be on for 10 minutes. I'm going to watch that, and now I'm back to Monday Night Football. That's not the case. They may go and watch
pretty fast.
It does drop
pretty fast.
He may draw some other eyes to what's going on in the show, which is what he's doing with WWE. When he was in AEW, they watched the Punk segments, and then they vamoosed. They were out the door. Let me ask you a question, Don, going back to Ricochet. Okay? Put yourself in this situation. You're a professional wrestler. Okay?
All right.
You work for WWE. You're a mid-card guy, and you're featured a lot on TV, and you're interacting in feuds with some of the big stars. And you're also
some rising stars.
Some rising stars also. And you're tag teaming with these people. And you're on TV on a show where 1.7 million people, maybe down to 1.3 million people, are watching it every week, religiously. And you're paid what your value
salary
is, what your worth is.
Good salary.
A good salary.
Still a good salary.
Now, you're in a company where hardly anyone's watching. They shot their wad, as so to speak, with the big money match with you and a guy named Will Ospreay. Don Wayne and Will Ospreay. Let's do it. We've done it on the Indies. We're going to do it right here. Well, let's do it now. We can't wait to a pay-per-view. No, let's do it now. This is going to be great. And then you go ahead and have that match, and then you're never heard from again. You're on Rampage. You're on Collision. You're on Rampage. You're wrestling bums like the Beast Mortos. And he's a bum. No one knows who that goat-headed ass is. No one knows. Nobody's seen him in the United States. Unless you're in, New Mexico, right by the border, or the border down by Texas. No one knows who these people or these luchadors are. And you're wrestling them on Rampage and Collision. Do you take a job with that company where you're wrestling the luchadors and you shot your wad real quick for not having fame, not being a superstar, not main eventing a pay-per-view like you want to, but you're making 5 times the amount of money you made in WWE. What would you do?
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You have to take the money because if it's life-changing money, you got to take the money. Let's say he was making $400,000 in WWE and now he's making $1.5 million. You have to take the money because it can change your life. Brother Fluff Salisbury, thank you for joining, brother. If there were no Salisburys, there would be no such thing as steaks. You are correct, sir. Solid point. Solid point. But again, I just wanted to cover this real quick because
very profound.
Ping Pong is not the star he thinks he is in his own brain. He truly thinks he's going to main event WrestleMania or one of these things. He's a very talented, gifted in-ring performer that can do all the flips and the whoop-de-doos, but he doesn't have the charisma that comes through the screen that grabs you. He just doesn't. Sorry.
It's amazing that he could go on a talk show, a radio show, and speak eloquently about his lot in life. But when you put a microphone in his hand in front of a camera,
he becomes Stuttering John. He's Stuttering John.
Stuttering John Melendez. Yes, he does. Throwback to the Howard Stern show. The good old days. Yes.
We've talked enough about the news for now. We got a couple other nuggets we're going to get to later. By the way, Super Chat's open. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the ring-a-ling on the ding-a-ling. We're trying to climb that sub-user count, folks. Trying to hit it up there. Raw on Monday. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this show because it was 3 days ago, but it bears repeating on what we saw on this show because this is how you draw your audience back in when you give a very, very mid PLE, so to speak. And it was. They had a sellout. They had an 8,100 set up, and they said it was sold out. So that's what that bastard has. And believe it or not, that's what it holds. It holds 8,100. That's max capacity.
When we talked about that pay-per-view Saturday night, one thing we didn't mention, there was no blood.
None. And you've got to have blood in a cage.
And everybody was complaining about that. They wanted to see blood in a cage match, but there was none.
You have to. Otherwise, what the hell are we doing here? I mean, that's just the truth. That's an old psychological advantage. You have blood in the cage, suddenly everything is amped up. What we did get was a big man breaking his ankles and a couple of top rope bullshit spots that mean nothing. That's what we got in the end. I'd have rather seen one of these guys bleed and less of that, please. Thank you very much. By the way, put a lid on the cage. If you're going to have a War Games, do it proper and put a damn lid on the thing.
It's
so that
too
you
high.
can use that thing as a weapon and smack them up there.
Number one, it's too high.
Yeah, so lower it.
Way too high. Way too high. Warrior just chimed in. Here we go. Don Bottles, what do you guys think about jobber Ryan Nemeth? Complain about AEW's biggest star, CM Punk. Warrior JWR with the $4.99. Thank you, Warrior. Thank you for.
We were going to talk about this later, but we can cover it now if you want to, because I've got it
right
pulled
now.
up. Go ahead.
Back in the day,
last June.
Well, no. Well, when Punk was in AEW, Ryan Nemeth called him the softest man alive because of his reactions to the Young Bucks and the big brawl-in that they had, the fist fight they had at the.
He was choosing sides. He knew where his bread was buttered. They have pull,
exactly.
And CM Punk didn't. That's
They hired Ryan Nemeth because they wanted really to sign his brother, Nick Nemeth, who is Dolph Ziggler of WWE fame. Yes. So they figured, we'll give Ryan a job, and then Dolph will come. Dolph never came because he knew, like you just said, what side of the bread his butter was on. So he badmouthed CM Punk online. Punk saw it. When Ryan Nemeth came to the TV taping for Collision that afternoon, Punk walked up to him and said, hey, you're Ryan, right? Yeah, we got a problem here? We got a problem here? You want to sit down and talk about this? What are you going to do? What's your problem? I saw what you said about me online. And right away, the kid panicked. after this little verbal altercation, nobody put any hands on each other, nothing like that. He went to Human Resources at Tony Khan and filed a formal Human Resources complaint against CM Punk, who
in June of 2023.
Yes, he's an on-air talent. He's also an executive. He's also a producer. So we were right about the fact, Don, months ago when we said at that point in time he was a agent, producer, booker for Collision.
Because the Collision show was made to keep Punk around because he didn't want to be part of the company after the brawl out, whatever the hell you want to call it. After that, he was like, just let me go. This isn't going to work. Just let me go. And Tony Khan said, no, we've got a new show. The executives want you on the show. It's going to be your show. We're not going to book anybody over there that you don't want to work with. Well, they started sending people over there. Nemeth in the complaint details several interactions, including an incident in August 2023 when he was asked to leave AEW Collision due to Punk's request. That's that request you were just talking about. He also notes being instructed to antagonize Punk in a promo on the August 16th episode of Dynamite. Despite voicing his concerns to AEW legal, Nemeth alleges that the grievances were not properly addressed. You talk shit and got called out on it, chose the wrong side, got punked, and now you want to bitch. This is not an office environment. Right. This is supposed to be a simulated combat sport. That's what this is. Egos are going to get involved. I have seen so many hockey fights in my time, so many NFL fights on the same team because you're going to get wound up. You're going to have bad words with each other. This is the biggest, never in my life that I think I would see or hear as a wrestler, as a professional wrestler. If you don't stop, I'm going to go to HR. Now,
if you would have said that back in the day to Harley Race, what would Harley Race have said?
You know something, you son of a bitch? Let me put my cigarette down.
No, he put the cigarette down in his eye, in that kid's eye.
I'm going to kick the shit out of you, you tender-footed, yellow-belly pansy ass. Come here.
Okay.
And then he would twist him into a knot.
Of course. How did all this come to light all of a sudden? Who unearthed this? Who dug this up?
Because of what happened. Punk is back, and he's a star brighter than ever, and that's what I want to talk about next.
So they're digging up crap that happened like a year and a half ago?
Anything right now to get the heat off the horrible ideas that are being passed around in AEW like a joint. They're all taking a hit off the joint of bad ideas. Let's all take a hit off the joint of bad ideas. Take one hit and pass it. Let's talk about Raw. Let's get through it quick.
Let's do
Raw did 1.71 million on average, son. And this is important for one reason. The NFL had a Monday night game that nobody particularly wanted to see with the Denver Broncos, my favorite team, against the Cleveland Browns, and a freaking old school AFL shootout came across where they scored almost 80 points. It was crazy. It was wild. So if you did a 1.71 million against that program, you did something that night. And here's why the other part about this is important. CM Punk led off Raw, which is something you rarely see. Usually he's at the top of the 9 o'clock hour to get the viewers back in. Sure. And this told me one thing. Triple H knew he didn't have a very good product the night before and said, I'm going to put out one of my top draws out there early and kick this shit off in high gear and go from there. And we're going to have this thing wound tighter than a top, and it's going to come off looking great. And it delivered for 24 and a half minutes, almost 25. Punk, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn stood in the ring and had a little bit of a melee brawl and just cut promos on each other. And I thought this was amazing. Punk even got it you had to finish your story. Well, now I'm here to call in some favors when I need them because I've got something on my mind I want. He was alleging to where he's going to get a title shot eventually. That's where this is leading. And I thought this was great because Seth Rollins comes out and he's got his man bun on and he's wearing a Clark Griswold shoes and a modern day nudie suit. As always, he's styling and profile. I don't know what the hell he's wearing. But LeMay. He says he's going.
Some kind of bronze LeMay.
It's bad.
Jesus.
Seth Rollins says he's going to rectify the mistake and takes his jacket off because he should have hit him the first time. And Punk says, you talk too much. 6 months ago, I haven't thought about you at all. Back then, you had something I wanted. You don't have anything I want anymore. I've got goals in this company. I want to win championships. You are not worth my time. Bottles. How freaking great was this?
It was fantastic. It was just directed to the point. And I like when Rollins came out and they're chanting along to his song, and Rollins is getting the microphone. He's looking at Punk. Punk was looking away. He couldn't even be bothered to turn around and look at the man. He had his back to him. And speaking of the way the whole thing was shot, how great was that shot before Rollins came out? And Punk had his back to the camera and got into the midfield turnbuckle and stood up in that corner, talking to the fans and pointing where the WrestleMania sign usually would be.
I'm glad you picked that up. Because everybody was like,
Kevin Dunn, the former director of the show, would never do a shot like that. Never.
The part that
producer, director.
Yes. The part that got me is the fans that were on the internet spaces, the Twitter X, if you will, were like, what was he pointing to? Was there somebody up there? He's pointing to where the WrestleMania sign's going to be in a couple of months. That's what he was pointing to. Come on, folks, keep up. But then they start getting into it. He being CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And I love this, Bottles, because out came Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. And did you notice what they came out to? No music. They just did a run-in. No music.
That's right.
It felt authentic.
It should be. They ran out on spur of the moment.
I thought this was great. Jey Uso leads CM Punk away from the ring. Sammy stayed in the ring, and Sammy says, they start going back and forth, and this is when it got me when Sami Zayn says,
I wanted you.
Yes, and Sammy says, I didn't ask him to be my partner. You said you wouldn't be my partner, and you created this mess that is Roman Reigns monster when you hit him in the back of the head with a chair. What a callback to what is that, 10 years ago now? What a callback.
Yeah.
So they set up a match. Yes.
Dude, with Vince McMahon booking the show, that never would have taken place. None of this would take place because there was no continuity with Vince. He could remember what he did 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
This was 25 minutes, and I said, and scene. This was a masterful way to set up future shows and future brawls. I thought it was great. Just to hit some highlights here. Rhea runs on the women's match at the end. Gunther gets interrupted by Lucky Charms. He wants a dream match now, and Dominic Mysterio is in the background being hilarious, and Gunther says, I'll fight Dominic instead. And Lucky Charms is pissed off. Oh, you get a match and I don't. I thought, dude, Dominic Mysterio's facials in the back of this thing were hilarious. Did you notice those?
Yes. And the boy got his ass beat, too.
Yes, well, we're going to get to that. Women's IC match, triple threat match. Dakota Kai wins. Okay. The New Day rewind and review was a damn good piece of work. And then they had the promo in the ring. Bottles. I'm not a New Day guy. I'm not a pancake flipper. I wasn't into the bootios. I know that was all for the kids, and I get that, and kids love them. I'm not saying there's not a place for that in this point of wrestling, right?
Yes.
But this was something different, Bottles. This was dark. This was dark because they start off like we've made a decision. We're going to announce it now. And out of nowhere, Big E starts walking to the ring. Mm-hmm. And they start cut. Go ahead.
I badmouth the New Day, and you know this all along.
So have I.
I hated Kofi Kingston. Xavier Woods is a great promo, one of the best in the business.
He can cut a promo.
I think.
But it's always
the same old
happy crap.
It's the same old match, too. Same old crap. And Kofi Kingston's light as a feather. Whatever he does in the ring's not believable at all to all these bigger guys. When he fought Ivar of the War Raiders, you remember that match? He beat Ivar, a man who outweighs him by 200 pounds. So I can't stand those guys. But this made me interested in the New Day. It was great to see Big E back. That whole dynamic between the three, where everybody expected it to be laughing and shucking and jiving and joking around and dancing and doing this hip swivel like they do. None of that happened.
When this thing turned and they started ripping, they being Woods and Kofi started ripping on him, saying, you broke your neck and left us. We were there for you the whole time, and you broke your neck and left us. And dude, I wrote this down. Give Big E an Emmy. His facials during this whole thing, I felt genuinely bad for him. As a wrestling fan, you sucked me in. You got me involved in this. I bit hook, line, and sinker. And they said Austin broke his neck and came back. Angle broke his neck and came back. Edge broke his neck and came back, but not you. You bailed on us. This was perfect. And then Wood says, get the hell out of my ring. You're useless. Go back to your desk job. And the crowd was eating this alive.
They were audibly going, oh. when Kofi Kingston turned on Big E, Woods they expected because they portrayed Woods as being the heel in the New Day drama. It was fantastic. But when Kofi, good guy Kofi, who they think
always
he loves
been a
everybody,
face.
Everyone loves, always been a face. When he badmouthed Big E, they all audibly went. What I didn't like was Big E had a microphone and was promoting with them. And then when he was trying to talk at the end, did he throw the microphone away? What happened to the microphone?
Did you not see what happened? Because if you didn't catch it, I can catch up on it. He was so stunned, he just dropped it and threw his hands out like, why are you doing this? He was so stunned, he dropped the microphone. You could audibly hear it hit the mat like, what are you doing to me?
Nice.
You could audibly hear the thud. And I was like, he dropped the microphone and they cut to him and he was like, what the hell, man? And they told him to get out. And he kept saying, don't do this. Don't do this. And Kofi was like, get out. Perfect.
I don't think they liked the fact when he said, I'm going to come back and be your manager.
That was the other part where it was like, oh, the ego on you. So this was great. Loved every bit of this. By the way, this was the second. I'm going to say this clearly so somebody can hear us. By the way, like and subscribe, hit the notifications button. The super chat is open if you got something to say. A lot of wrestling we've covered here so far this week, and we've been doing it in a short time. We got a long way to go, baby, and a short time to get there. This segment did a 1.88 million. It was the second highest rated segment on the show and bumped it up. Get this, 14% from the previous quarter hour. 14%.
That's amazing.
That's something amazing. They've never done before. I don't think they've ever had something like that, ever.
Here's a question for you and a question for the people in the chat and people watching. Does Big E come back? Is he cleared? And they're not saying it. Are they just setting the stage right now for a comeback tour of Big E?
I don't really know. They're keeping that so close to the vest that you just don't know right now. You have no idea. If I was a betting man, I'd say he's never going to get back in the ring again. If I was a betting man,
the real answer somewhere is in a desk drawer with The Rock's plans for WrestleMania.
I did it for The Rock. That's what he's going to say. So this was great. I want to keep going through this. Dom and Gunther have their match. Gunther kicks the shit out of him, and Finn Balor jumps him and gives him 3 of his Grand Poobah jumps on his chest. And did you notice the friction between Dominic Mysterio
and Finn Balor?
He kept saying, I'm going to show you how to do it, son. This is how you do it. Listen to the veteran. This got my attention. And then Jey Uso got jumped. We're going to keep trying to wrap this up. And Jey Uso got jumped. Want you to believe that it was Seth Rollins. They have a Braun Breaker segment where Speedos interrupts, which they're going to have another match, which I'm looking forward to. Speedos is who, Bottles? If you're new to the show, who is Speedos?
Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes, we call him Speedos here, ladies and gentlemen. He likes them tidy whities, buddy. He is European and he likes to let it show. So I'm looking forward to seeing that in the future. Sammy and Seth had their match. Seth is telling Sammy, I didn't beat up Jay. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. And out of nowhere, here comes the Claymore kick from one Drew easy for me to say. Drew McIntyre. Help me out here. Drew, God, say it for me. I'm having a hard time for real.
What?
Sami Zayn got Claymore kicked.
Drew Takeshita.
No, we're okay. We're moving on.
Drew Okada.
Drew McIntyre there. I knew it would come to me. $4.99. Pablo, salute, champs. Have you, Vince Russo, shit all over the show, call it Kabuki, and say Sammy protecting Jay guys like he was his girlfriend? Is he bitter? Look, they're friends. I got it. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed it.
Was he talking about Russo being bitter?
No, he's saying, have we Vince Russo shit all over AEW yet?
Oh, he's not saying AEW. He's saying, Pablo, we're trying to decipher what you wrote here. Salute champs, have you Vince Russo shit all over this show? Have you heard Vince Russo? Is that what you're trying to say? You left out the word heard? Vince Russo shit over the show. We call it Kabuki and saying Sammy protecting Jay like he was his girlfriend.
Pablo will throw it back up there, pal. I thought he was talking about AEW.
Vince is, because what he said, is he bitter? Vince Russo is always
okay,
bitter.
Here we go. He's saying Russo shit all over the WWE. I didn't see that this week. I missed that one, Pablo.
Yeah, you'd have to hear it. You'd have to hear it because Russo does like 59 podcasts every week. So
I mean, honestly, Pablo, I could care less what that guy says about anything in wrestling. That guy's is the book of bad ideas on every show he's ever done. I mean, he called the wrestling show TNA as a rib. That's where his mind is at. Thank you, Pablo, for the $4.99 super chat. We appreciate you being here, buddy. Hope you're having a good night too, man.
Could he book AEW?
No.
Would it be better if Russo booked AEW than what's going on right now?
No. But this show ended.
I don't know about that.
Fire with a Claymore kick. It's time to talk about this show that was AEW. They were in Fishers, Indiana, with a capacity of 7,500. I looked that up, with 2,935 tickets distributed. Thank you, Russell Tix.
That's
for
a
that
success.
number.
What a success that was.
And the Continental Classic is all over the place. And there was one theme about this show that we talked about last night. There's a Continental Classic show or tournament going on AEW shows. They also have the Winter is Coming special that they were advertising. There's a holiday special that they're advertising that's coming up. The End of the World pay-per-view is coming up that they
really
that
don't
they
care
advertising.
About that.
I'm just saying, dude, they were flashing all of this different shit at the show on the screen all night. There is so much trash to keep up with what's going on here. You can't even take it on. It's like, what? Can you imagine if Raw was like, join us next week on Raw when we have Winners Coming, and followed up on Friday on SmackDown with the Tournament Classic. By the way, Monday, we're going to have a holiday special. Dude, pick a lane and stay in the lane. What the hell was this?
He's booking because he's attention deficit hyperactive disorder. He's got that. He's got ADHD. And he's booking like he's got ADHD with spinning 1,000 plates all at once on sticks. He's got 1.5 million things going on in his head. He's trying to sort out. So he's booking all these different ideas and vomiting them all up all at once. Concentrate and do one or two things good. Excel at one or two things, and the rest will all fall in line. Don't try to put 25 pounds of crap in a 10-pound bag, which is what this promotion is right now. It's 25 pounds of garbage in a 10-pound bag. You know this. I told you this last night. That show last night was horrible. Boring.
Boring is the word. It was boring. And it started off with this match with Benjamin Shelton going against Kyle Fletcher. And did you hear what they're calling him now? The Proto Star. That's what they announced him as, the Proto Star. Has there ever been a worse ripoff of a gimmick in my life? Because John Cena was the prototype in Ohio Valley Wrestling. This is the worst ripoff and renaming I've ever heard of. That doesn't fit.
All I can say is they could do worse with Fletcher. They could do worse. He's a good-looking kid, and he can wrestle. He can wrestle. He just needs guidance. He needs to be in a well-written story. And we don't have that right now.
This thing is what I was talking about earlier. Dog, what the shit are you doing? Sorry, I had a running back there. Ben Shelton is a professional wrestler. Kyle Fletcher has grown up being a spot monkey, and it showed in this match. He could not get in this match and have an actual wrestling of selling and back and forth. He could not do it. He spent most of his time outside of the ring. Did you notice that? This is what I took away from it. Kyle cannot have a wrestling match with somebody unless he's running around doing every trick that he knows. He can't do it otherwise. He has got to be in constant motion. He cannot psychologically have a professional wrestling match. And he's missing that deeply.
Who can in that company? Name somebody in that company who can.
MJF.
Give me 5 people.
MJF.
Go ahead.
Benjamin Shelton. MVP.
He's not a wrestler.
Okay. Bobby Lashley. Edge and Christian Cage. There's 5. Those guys can do it. Guess what they all have in common?
All WWE guys. Ex-WWE
because they are
guys,
used to telling a story. They're used to it. Except MJF. He's not an ex-WWE guy. But he gets
Everyone wants to go and get their shit in. That's the problem with this company. Everyone's got to get their shit in. Like, that's a phrase that's said on the indies. Who's going to win? What are you going to do? We'll do the top row. Here's the finish, blah, blah, blah. As long as I get all my shit in. I got like 4 or 5 big moves I got to do. What? The booker of the indie show would say, what? I got to get my shit in. I got to do my pancake off the top rope. Got to go through a table. You don't need a table. Oh, we're going to get a table. That's what they do.
What out there? Yeah, I know. And this is what pissed me off about this match. Why did Kyle Fletcher win this match? Why are you beating your brand new, badass looking wrestler with this guy? This should have gone to the time limit draw.
If they're starting a feud between the Hurt Syndicate and the Don Callis family of that band, that gaggle of castaways, that would be the reason for this. Knowing AEW, that will never see the light of day. They'll never go back to this. Because Shelton knew he got cheated. He gave him a dirty look. Where's this going to go from here? And Callis ran. It's always good to see Don Callis run in his skinny jeans that are skinny slacks that are 4 inches too short from his inseam and no socks. And
I'm going to say this again.
Go ahead.
Benjamin Shelton is your new free agent signing. He is a star in your company. He looks like no one else in your company.
How long has he been there, Don? How long has he been?
Less than a month.
Okay, he's done then. He's done then. He'll be a Collision or Rampage next.
Let me finish. He looks like $1 million. He looks better now than he did 15 years ago. He's jacked to the gills. He's hitting the gym. He's clearly 49. In shape. And 49 years old. Beat him twice on your Dynamite show within 4 weeks. You have beaten him twice. What the hell are you doing with your new signings? This doesn't make any sense at all to me. What am I missing with this? This is ass backwards booking 101. I've got a new star. What do you want to do with him? I'm going to beat his ass twice. That'll show him to sign here.
Kyle Fletcher, good wrestler. Shelton Benjamin, great wrestler. He could teach the kid a few things.
So you say that.
The match was good. It was, outside of Fletcher trying to get all his shit in, the match was good. Shelton kept a good pace. He even chuckled a couple times if you caught it. He laughed a few times at the kid trying to go and do everything extra. He was too extra. But when you sit back and think about all this,
Brother Fluff put some money in earlier, so he's got a good point here.
And why was Callis allowed on commentary? He's always on commentary.
No, but isn't that the rule of this tournament is no outsiders can be near ringside? That's the point of the tournament rules.
He is a color commentator at times, so
But
that's the loophole.
Again, no, this is some bullshit. I'm calling bullshit.
You go to the end of the show, and there were outsiders at ringside, and you think they really care about the rules? This is what happens when a guy who doesn't know how to book a show. I don't know how to book a wrestling show, but I know what I like. I've been watching wrestling for 55 years. I know what I like. I've seen it all. And I've seen all different types of companies, all different types of stars. And I know what works. And what they're doing right there doesn't work. It doesn't even work while you're just old. You're old like Eric Bischoff. You two guys are old. You know what you're talking about. You get that online regarding our show. Listen, what they're doing
I can hear
isn't
Jimmy.
working.
I can hear Jimmy.
What they're doing on that show is not working at all. The ratings bear that out. The live attendance bears that out. No one wants to see this crap unless you're a fan of the indies. The other company, the number one company in the world, they're breaking all kinds of records. The third company in the world, TNA, is almost overtaking AEW. Tony, just swallow your pride. Swallow your pride. And go ahead and hire a real booker.
I don't get it either, Pablo. I don't like them using Shelton as the job guy either. I don't know why he's jobbing. It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. It's like that old school dumbass Vince McMahon mentality when he would get a new signing and immediately have him job out. It's dumb as hell. I hated when Vince did it. He didn't learn his lesson. Triple H learned his lesson because he don't do that shit when they get a new big signing.
Right. Absolutely.
So it's just dumb. We're going to move on. They recapped the Collision tournament, recap where Juice Robinson broke his damn ankle. This guy cannot stay healthy. Cannot.
Did you know? Did you hear? It wasn't his ankle.
What was it?
His fibula, which is the bone was right above the ankle.
Yeah.
But he broke it like this far up off of his ankle. That's what happened. Did you hear that Tony Storm, his wife, is on her way back?
I did not. Thank you again, Pablo, for the $1.99.
She said that the timeless, I feel like I'm no longer timeless, she said in a Instagram video. She did like a long promo, and I feel as if I am no longer timeless. So I think she's going to drop that gimmick.
New gimmick.
And come back with a new one. Okay. Come back with a new gimmick.
I got to talk about this next segment on AEW because it don't get any worse. And you and I have butted heads over this, but you've come to my side now. Hook comes out to challenge Nick Wayne and cuts what has got to be one of the worst promos he's ever done.
He sounded like somebody shot him in the tongue with Novocaine. That's what he sounded like.
Why is this guy always in a hoodie so you can't see his face, so you can't see what he looks like? If you're supposed to be a wrestling star cutting a promo, the fans should be able to see your facial expressions so they can either root for you or boo you. I want to boo this guy simply because he sucks. Everything this guy touches is crowded, canned ass. Everything. And there's nothing good about him.
Mark K with a 10 spot, Don. In reference to the Continental Classic, Walter Sobchak from the Big Lebowski needs to march it.
Holy shit.
Am I the only one who gives a shit about the rules? Mark at 0. AEW
I said mark at 0.
AEW's mark. Mark, AEW is indeed lost, unfortunately. And they've got a great roster of wrestlers. If you subtract half of those people, Christian Cage, Edge, Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley. I'll even say Hangman Adam Page. I'll say Pac, the Bastard Pac, puts on great matches. Who else, Don? Who else do you like? MJF. Who else do you like from AEW?
I don't like Hook. I can tell you that much.
Mushmouth Hook?
I don't like Hook at all.
I used to be a Hooker.
I don't like
I used to be a Hook fan.
Yes, you were.
You brought it up. And I see the light of day now, pal, because for a guy that was exemplary in the ring, like Taz, and for when on promos, he was Hook. Doritos Hook. He just, I cannot understand why he's not schooling his son on how to do a promo. Stand in front of your cell phone camera and cut a promo to yourself. Do it over and over again until you're happy with it. That's what a lot of these guys used to do. They used to do promos in their house to their mirrors. That's how well they wanted to present themselves and try to get ahead. These kids nowadays aren't doing it. Hook, you probably had the hood up because you didn't style your hair that night last night when he came out. Dude, the T-bone suplexes you used to pull off were fantastic, like your father did. But when they give you a microphone hook, don't say a word.
He
Be
can't
silent
talk.
but violent.
He's an idiot.
He's a victim of bad booking. He's a victim of bad booking.
Not having it. He doesn't have it, Bottles. Nothing about this guy intrigues me. He's got bedhead. He doesn't have the look. He's 160 pounds. He wears oversized boxing shorts. Nothing about this guy makes me want to see him. And thank God Christian Cage comes out with his syndicate. And by the way, Hook didn't beat up with him.
Syndicate? You sound like the Christian Cage crime families come out. That's Syndicate. Jesus Christ. Syndicate. It's a family, Don. Don't you know? Mother Wayne.
Did you notice
Nick
she was
Wayne.
not in heels last night? Did you notice that?
Yes. Well,
She
she
was
had
in
some
flats.
heels in those boots. No, she
Heels
didn't
and
have
flats for the most part. They were like this tall. They told her,
Yes.
you are not coming out looking bigger than all of our wrestlers anymore. They're small enough as it is. Knock off the bullshit.
Are they watching the show, Don?
Who?
Management in AEW. Are they watching our show? Because we say it every week when we talk about AEW. She shouldn't be wearing those big-ass high heels. But at any rate, they still had a woman. They still had a woman choke a grown man out on TV again.
But we're gonna get that later. But the best part about this was that idiot on the microphone says it's 4-on-1. He referred to the woman. To Mama Wade was now beating up Hook. I was like, please, if anybody in the rest, no, this was the sock face idiot. He said it's 4-on-1. Mama Wade is now a professional wrestler, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it last night first. That's what's happening. Thank you again, Mark K, for the $10 super chat. We really appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
This whole thing, Christian Cage is one of the shining lights in this whole thing. If he'd stop talking about dead dads, I'd like it, but I'm not going to get all upset about it.
That's his gimmick.
He did
That's
well.
the whole gimmick. That's the whole gimmick. He's a father to all. Hook listens to too much Fallout Boy.
Holy shit.
Hook looks and sounds like Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons that snorted too much crushed up Percocets. That's what he looks and sounds like. It's just the shits. Just the shits. I'm sorry I was on the Hook train, pal. But just all those weeks of hearing Tony Schiavone
I'm
say,
glad you got off.
It's the signal!
I'm glad you got off.
God.
I'm glad for that. We're going to get to Renee Baguette backstage because she's with Mercedes Monae. And I'm going to say something here that you're not going to be expecting. Mercedes Monae cut the best promo since she's been in AEW right here. This wasn't horrible. This wasn't bad. This was actually pretty good.
Shut your front door. What?
I'm telling you, watch it back. It was not bad.
She is just the shits, pal.
Dude,
It's horrible.
Go
It's
back
horrible.
and watch this. This part was not horrible. It wasn't.
How
Go
much
back and watch
Buffalo Trace whiskey did you ingest at this point of the program when you were watching it? What are you doing?
Not much. Guys, if you're going to keep repeating yourself about your same comments over and over again, you're going to get banned in the chat. I'm just giving you fair warning right now. That's all I'm going to say about it. Have a chat, have a discussion. Keep posting the same spam shit. You're gone. Anyway, moving on with the show.
Was that askforask.com back in the chat?
Yeah. MVP
Okay.
and Ben are backstage, and Ben gets chewed out, which was funny because this felt legit. It felt like a real segment. And then out of nowhere, Benjamin Shelton, I'm calling him Ben now. We're boys. It's Ben. It's just Ben from now on. It's MVP, Ben, and Bobby Lashley backstage. And you can tell he's not happy with him. And he tells him, I'm not happy with you. And you can tell Ben's upset about it. And this is what I loved about it. Some guy comes walking by him, and Ben just starts kicking the shit out of him. And out of nowhere, the faction comes back and like, you know what? We're all pissed off you lost. And they kicked the hell out of these guys backstage. Was this not? This was the best thing on this show to me. This was it.
It was the most WWE thing on the show. It really was.
I thought it was good.
If you saw that on WWE Raw Monday night, it would have went down the exact same way. So I think MVP is booking the Hurt Businesses stuff or the Hurt Syndicate stuff.
Mark K says, poor security. He gave the money. We appreciate you, brother. Yeah, there you go. See? He knows I only have 2 drinks every night, pal. The first and the last one.
Sure.
We get the Battle Royal next. I know you're excited to see this as much as I was because we all knew it was going to come down to the end of this shit. It was going to come down to the two smallest guys in this whole thing.
I had my phone in my hand, just watching the phone. It was horrible.
Did you notice the only guy that got a TV entrance was Adam Cole, baby? He was the only guy that got a TV entrance.
Of course.
The rest of these schmucks were just standing in the ring.
I don't even know why they had it. I don't even know why they did it.
Here's what I didn't get. Did you notice at the end? This is what made this whole thing so goddamn absurd. The end saw Adam Cole, O'Reilly, Chicken Hawk on an HGH in the middle of the ring. Two of these things were not like the other ones. And the two dwindling twigs won the match. And this makes zero sense in any logic. And by the way, I didn't realize going into this, they were going to have two winners of a battle royal. Have you ever heard of this in your life? The entire point of a battle royal is one guy's left standing, one guy wins. What the hell was this, Bottles?
I don't understand why the two guys won when generally if you're having a battle royal, you're down to one winner. Don't know why. Maybe he thinks that's a great matchup for the two guys from the ex-undisputed elite from NXT to face each other. I'm not sure if that's what he wants to do. Why he changed the rules of the Battle Royal for that ring. He has every year. Every year he has this for that ring. I don't know why they just don't go off of one-loss records. And whoever's got the biggest winning streak, it's have that guy against another guy with the second biggest winning streak. Just do it that way to spare us the problem of these bullshit battle royals for these things. It's horrible.
They're pointless.
Horrible.
They're pointless.
Pointless. Just like the woman who sprays the tanning solution on these wrestlers. Obviously, this week, Adam Cole was backed up against the wall when she sprayed him down. He didn't want to turn around. He came out. He was yellow in the front and white in the back, as opposed to being brown in the back, if you know what I'm saying.
Pablo says, thank you again, Pablo, for the $4.99 super chat. I think this company don't know what a good promo is or a good show. Do you think the boys in the back in AEW make fun of Tony Khan behind his back? I guarantee you they do. He does not have the respect of anybody in this company. No. They see him as a money mark. That's what they see him as. That's what he is.
He's got the respect of Mercedes Monae.
He is, without a doubt, Tony Khan being the biggest money mark in the history of the wrestling business. Vince McMahon, before he started shitting on heads, allegedly, might have not been the most liked guy in that locker room. But they weren't dissing him. They weren't talking shit behind his back because he provided them a living, and he had a great book of ideas. The Stone Cold era, the John Cena era, the CM Punk era. Once he got a money machine, he knew how to make that money machine roll. But it was times that he struggled to get that money machine going. That's what he struggled. Right now, there is no money machine in AEW. There is nobody that they're seemingly wanting to push. It's how many guys can I get over at once to a mid-level card without actually getting them over to a superstar status. You had it with MJF, and you fucked it up. You pissed it all away. You ruined the whole thing. I will
say they had it with Adam Cole also, because Adam Cole's not the biggest guy. He's not doing anything right now to stay in shape or anything like that. But I will say when he came into the company, Adam Cole was on the fast track to be a superstar in AEW. Naturally, he got hurt, of course. And he's still got charisma. He's charismatic. Vince wanted to make him a manager. But no one's has anyone ever actually, and we can't answer this, we don't know, said to Adam Cole, why won't you get in shape? Why won't you get some size on you? Why won't you look believable in the ring? Why are you always pale? You got a tan. Look at Brian. Well, Brian Cage.
Why do you look like a fish out of water every time?
Look at Kyle Fletcher. Looks
great. Looks like $1 million.
He's 6'5". He's taller than Cole.
Look at Kyle O'Reilly. Wait, bad example.
No, Kyle O'Reilly. Did you see them both together in the ring? Kyle
Dude, look at
O'Reilly
his
looks like
right
he works
arm.
out a little bit. But if you look at
Have
his
you ever
left arm,
seen have you ever seen a scary movie? This is my strong hand. I made the mashed potatoes with this one. No, take my strong hand.
I'm trying to see a silver lining in this dark, dark cloud. Okay?
Let's ask
That's
you
what
this.
I'm trying to do.
If he offered you his strong hand, would you take it and trust it? Or would you die a horrible death off the cliff?
I would.
You die
in lieu of dying it, I would grab the strong. I would try to trust the strong hand, or I'm gonna die either way. I might as well just give it a shot. Maybe you could actually pull me.
You're coming with me, bitch. At least you won't be on AEW anymore.
We could talk falling down in this ravine. Yes. If you looked at Kyle O'Reilly's bigger than Adam Cole, and he's got the gimp arm. That's my point. That's all I'm saying. Well, I just don't understand. They've hired Jennifer Pepperman from WWE to be the VP of Creative. Remember that a year ago when that happened?
Yeah.
How's that working?
We got to keep getting through this shit show of a show. By the way, I want to thank the chat for showing up tonight. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We appreciate all your support. The super chat's been great tonight. We really do appreciate your support. We had a troll in here earlier, and I gave him no love. I just gave him one warning, and he was fraught that we wouldn't notice him. You're not in an echo chamber, asshole. This is actual wrestling fans. We criticize WWE on the regular when it's bad. The problem with AEW is it's bad on the regular.
Is the lad still here?
No, he's gone.
What was his name?
I don't give a shit, and I'm not going to repeat it. JB Hater.
Kid, we appreciate you coming in. Give us a ring-a-ling on the ding-a-ling.
JB Hater comes in, and they have the House of Black segment. What's her name that's in the House of Black, the chick? You don't know either? I'm going to move on then. Renee Baguette is back.
Julia
there
Hart.
You go. So it's her again. Renee Baguette is backstage with the Acclaimed and Max Caster in what has to be one of the worst segments on the show. This was dog water.
He is horrible. He is horrible. The Acclaimed are garbage. Horrible. Anthony Bowens looks like a wrestler. Anthony Bowens has some in-ring acumen. Billy Gunn looks better than anybody in the company.
But that's the thing, though, is I think Max Caster has something, but where they're putting him right, he's got something. I'm not saying he's superstar, but he can do something. Here's my point.
You know he was in WWE, right?
I don't give a shit.
Bobby Lashley probably said to him when he saw him backstage, "Hey, sis, how you doing?" Remember when Bobby Lashley was in WWE, God, and they brought in his three sisters, and they were all men dressed up as women? Max Caster was one of those women. Without the mustache, of course. Marco Mattacoli for $4.99. That battle royal reminded me of my cousin's 6th grade CYO team played at Cleveland Browns game halftime show. Yes, it did.
I didn't talk about it, but it was a horrible spot where Action Andretti went to clothesline one of the guys, and when he went to do it, did you know what I'm talking about already? He literally just jumped out of his seat to get out of the ring. That thing was a clusterflop of hate from the word go. Nothing about that battle royal was worth a shit. It was so horrible. You could have literally cooked your family an entire meal while that happened and missed nothing except bad wrestling. The battle royal was as bad as it got in professional wrestling. Thank you, Marco, for the $4.99, and you are correct, sir.
Horrible.
That shit was god awful.
Listen. Hey, listen.
Hey, listen. I'm gonna say listen.
I didn't forget the words this time. His rap, I rarely, when he comes on TV, I usually turn it off. I turn it off.
No, I do like his rap. His rap cracks me up.
They're rarely on Dynamite. They're always on Rampage or Collision, the Acclaimed. But I heard him rap. I said, oh, he's pretty funny, actually. Clever. I wouldn't say funny. Ha-ha, funny. He's clever.
No, I just got told that I don't know her because I couldn't remember Julia Hart. You don't know me.
That wasn't Julia Hart.
By the way,
The other one.
By the way, I know, but it's a joke, Bottle. Stay with the program here, pal. By the way, shout out to Beer Man. I want to give a special shout out to Beer Man. I know you're struggling, brother, but I want you to know we love you, man. We think about you. Keep grinding. Everybody's proud of you, man. Keep it on, brother. I'm serious from the bottom of my heart, man. I really am. Really, truly. Swerve and Max have a match. I couldn't give a shit less about this. Max gets his ass kicked from pillar to post. Swerve calls out Bobby Lashley. So we're not done with that yet. We're not done with that yet, pal. Aren't you happy this is going to happen?
I'm overjoyed.
Okay. Then we get the MJF segment, and this is what sort of got my attention. MJF said, I leave, and people are getting murdered. I was like, what the? Did you notice in this segment, on this promo, and I don't know if it was me, but I want to ask you, he flipped the script entirely on Adam Cole and was like, I didn't do anything wrong. You turned on me. You're the bad guy here. Did you get that, though?
I got it right away. Me. Right away, I got it. He also called him jaundiced.
Yes, he did. We're going to keep moving on here.
You go around pretending you're the hero, but you're just a jaundice-infested villain. Gotta love it.
Where is he wrong, though? He's not wrong in any of this. MJF is the good guy.
This also looks like it was filmed recently, as opposed to the dim-lit, dark, other clips. It looks like they filmed.
I hung out in
this
bad alley with steroid people. I mean, whatever. Jay White versus Pac, and I noticed this right away.
Good match.
Pac is so short. He's so short.
He was short in WWE, but he's jacked up.
He's always been jacked.
Yes.
I didn't like this. You liked it. That's fine. I'm not going to cover this if you got something to talk about because it all came down to at the end of this, the Cracker Clan came down and began attacking.
You need a Tums?
Dude, right now, yes, I do. Because this shit gave me indigestion.
This is giving you heartburn.
Twice now. Twice this shitty program has given me heartburn.
When you
Block Larry, he was
when you're talking about it.
Moxley, this is the note I made. Moxley really believes he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. The way he walks around the ring, he really does.
He does.
I need you to explain this to me. I really do.
Okay.
Why is Hangman Page helping out the guy he just had a blood feud with in Switchblade? And why is Orange Cassidy anywhere near this when he's supposed to be a loner? None of this made any sense. None of it tied together. None of it was worth my time. Why is Hangman suddenly out to help Jay White? This doesn't make any sense, Bottles. It's booked so horribly.
I'm going to go out on a limb. He went to help Jay White because he wants to put his hands on Moxley because he wants the heavyweight championship belt. Orange Cassidy wants revenge for that beatdown that they gave him at that pay-per-view. He hasn't been seen since. Although when he came back, he comes back and he gets choked out by a woman who's 9 inches shorter than he is. Choked out. Just
Bottles.
Like Jay White.
Bottles.
I'm just trying to spitball and
Bottles. You can't rationalize a goddamn lunatic. None of this makes sense in any way or proportion. This would be like Roddy Piper after WrestleMania 1 coming out to help Hulk Hogan fend off Andre the Giant before WrestleMania 3. This is stupid. This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. None of this stacks up. None of this makes any sense. None of this adds to the equation of being a good show. All it does is subtract viewership. I haven't seen the quarter hours to this show. I'm actually afraid to look at them. I don't know if you have them or not. I'm praying to God you don't, because from here, it is a straight tumbleweed of hate downwards. There is nothing else redeemable about this show from this moment on. From this moment, it all got progressively worse, like a freight train headed to a school full of little handicapped kids. That's the only way I can describe this shit show. I hated this. And I hate to be that way. I like to have fun and joke around. But it just got so much worse. Do you have the quarter hours?
No, I thought I did, but I don't.
I didn't think so. We now get Timu Becky Lynch backstage, and I'm not going over whatever the hell that was. We get a Jericho segment, and I said, nope, I don't want to see this shit either. And did you notice he's got a new gimmick? The learning tree is gone now.
He's wearing a High Plains Drifter hat, and he's like the
big guy.
Doing a mean Gene. He's like doing a mean Gene Okerlund thing, where he's announcing what's going to take place with Ring of Honor. Please watch. Please watch.
We then get a Bandito segment. He's debuting, and I said,
"Who cares?"
That's what I said. What the? I don't care.
He's not debuting. He's been there for years.
I said, debuting. No, I don't want to see anything about this shit. I don't want to see anything about any of this. Anna Jay.
How much money? How much money do you think they sank into that goddamn Bandito video clip? How much money do you think they sank in that for a guy that no one cares about the guy?
If they spent more than $10, it was too much already.
They look like they had a Bruiser Brody Jr. and the cowboy hat with the beard. I said, that guy looks like Bruiser Brody. It came right to me right away. And who's coming? Who's coming? I thought it was going to be Hangman Adam Page.
Whoa. This is not a Peter North film. Calm down.
I asked. Who's coming? Who is this about?
To the ring.
Who's this?
To the ring.
Who's this about? And I thought it was going to be Hangman Adam Page. No, it was freaking Bandito. I'm thinking he wasted all his money on this. Who? And we ask this every week, every Thursday. Who is this for? Who's it for?
I'm going to wrap this up quickly.
586,000 people. That's who it's for.
Anna Jay versus Penelope Ford. And Mrs. Ed was especially horrible throughout all of this. Did you notice this?
Oh, my God. Terrible.
So it wasn't just me. Anna Jay calls out Mercedes Monae, who immediately appears, like literally as soon as she calls her out, music hits, here she comes. There was no pause. It was immediate. The entire suspense of belief is gone in that moment. And I said, oh, shit, Mercedes sucks again. After that good promo she gave earlier, it went to this, and I said, I'm done. Because the main event was next, and I don't give a shit who won. I bailed. I'm one of those people that watched this show until that moment and said, I can't watch any more of this god-awful horse shit of a show. What are you doing?
What's that?
What are you doing?
I'm doing what I was doing during the main event of this show.
I didn't know that you're
rearranging things in the room.
This is what I was doing. Hey, Bottles, I'm not watching this shit. That's what I did.
I fast forward because I watch it with delay. I always wait like a half hour. You know that. We talk about it all the time. And I put it on 8:30, and I just said, I'll leave it like this so I can fast forward through things. I fast forward through that entire match just to see if there's any piece of business at the end of it, and it was nothing. Nothing. Claudio Canoli won another match.
Good for him. Something's got it. You've got to change this show. You have got to change everything about this show. You have got to make your wrestlers more, I don't know, interesting maybe. Stop putting out this teenage garbage that no one gives a shit about. Make men have real issues. Stop pushing 140-pound featherweights as your champions. Right. This show was a bag of ass wrapped in styrofoam bullshit. Nothing about this was salvageable except the MJF segment and the MVP segment. Outside of that, this was just awful. Awful.
Conspicuous by her absence was,
oh my God, where's Britt Baker?
Last time you saw her on TV, what, a month ago? She was saying
I
that
think
Serena
it was
Deeb.
Was it 2 months ago or a month and a half?
No, it wasn't that long ago. It seems like forever in AEW land, but it was only a month ago, I believe. Serena Deeb said, I'm going to challenge you. We're going to do the ring, blah, blah, do this. No one cares.
No one.
No one cares. Sorry, no one cares. No one cares. And she turned her back on Serena Deeb and walked away. She didn't have a microphone in her hand. She set it to the camera that was on the microphone.
Yes.
Which picked it all up.
So they could pick it up, yeah.
And Tony Khan saw that and said, you're going to get more time off.
I think you've got some teeth you've got to examine in Florida. Have a good month and a half.
Yes.
Well, Bottles, I've got good news.
What's that?
In the next 3 months, winter is coming.
Yes.
We get
winter
the Continental Classic. We get the Continental Classic continuation for a pool that no one understands with a bunch of people named everywhere that no one gets because we're not Japanese wrestling.
You know what the irony of all this is?
I would love for you to tell me and then come by and Rochambeau me later.
What now? Rochambeau.
After you tell me this, come by and Rochambeau me so that I know my day is done.
You talked about Bischoff and how they turned on Bischoff, correct?
Yes.
Okay. They turned on Bischoff. Tony Khan stole the Continental Classic.
From
It wasn't
Japan.
called the Continental Classic. He stole it from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yes.
Just like he stole most of their big stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Squared Circle Maniacs, like and subscribe, hit the notifications button. We are here every Thursday, guaranteed. We try to do at least 2 shows a week. Thank you for watching.
Bischoff stole the NWO angle from New
Yes,
Japan
he
Pro
did.
Wrestling.
From New Japan. Yes, he did.
Bischoff and Tony Khan are the same.
No,
Although
they're not.
Bischoff
they're
could,
not.
I'm just saying, for the purposes of comparing the neckbeard opinions, Bischoff is cut from the same cloth as Tony Khan.
No, you're wrong.
He'll steal a good idea from another company and put his own stamp on it. Although Bischoff can book a wrestling program, he can produce a wrestling program.
Now you're getting to the nitty gritty, and I'm glad you brought this up again.
And script episodic television. What do you got to say?
We talked about this earlier. We have not talked about this earlier. The other part that I've been getting through with, by the way, that's our coverage of AEW. So if you want to hear any more of that bullshit, I'm done with that goddamn shit show. Here's my other point of this. Every neckbeard on the IWC wants to blame Eric Bischoff for the failure that was WCW.
Right.
And I don't say this lightly, Bottles. You and I had the pleasure of interviewing a young man who wrote an entire book on WCW's downfall called Guy Evans. Great interview. We did it about 1.5 years ago. If you get a chance, go back in the archives. Guy Evans was a phenomenal interview. His book is insanely great. It's so detailed that it will blow your mind on what happened. Eric Bischoff had nothing to do with the downfall that was WCW.
Right.
We've covered this.
New ownership came in. They did not like professional wrestling. They
Nothing
said it's
about
go, and they were going to cancel the show. And that intellectual property was up in the air. Bischoff with was it Fusion? Or
I can't remember who it was.
Fusion. It was the name of the audio. It was the name of the media company. Fusion Media, I believe it was. Tried to buy the whole thing. And Vince came in and swept it right out the door.
So if you keep blaming Eric for the downfall of WCW, number one, you're a tool. Number two, you should probably read more. You are literally the dumbest son of a bitch in the wrestling internet community because I have read it. I have done it. We've interviewed the man, and not just him, but a couple of other folks. There's nothing Eric Bischoff could do to save this company. They were going to bury this son of a bitch with or without him. They brought him in the last year of its existence, or probably 8 months, to try to salvage it to get a higher bid for it, and couldn't do it because they had Vince Russo in the back making up the worst storylines you've ever seen. If you don't know the back history of Vince Russo, he really is the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever seen walking God's green earth when it comes to wrestling, bro, as he likes to say. That son of a bitch stole our show, and I will never forgive him. He stole the title of our show 3 weeks after we did it. That guy can rot in hell. I would James E. Cornette.
He's not dead
piss
yet.
on that guy's grave when he dies.
Going back to wrestling and television,
piss on it.
Let me, if the producers of NCIS came up with NCIS Cambodia, Las Vegas, just because you said it, Las Vegas. And they said, okay, it sounds like a great concept. We'll get this guy to star in it. We'll give you a contract for 72 episodes. How's that? That's a good 4 years of television. Right. Sounds great to us. Fantastic. But if you look in the fine print of contracts, you've got to maintain a certain level of the ratings.
Yep.
Certain incremental increases of ratings throughout.
Demo's got to stay this way.
Demo's got to stay a certain amount. The advertisers, or it's got to be advertiser friendly, of course, the whole 9 yards. And that's what's in TV contracts. So if a show does not hold its end of the contract up with the ratings, what happens, Don?
Gone. You're out of here.
It's canceled because it's written in the contract. If you can't keep the ratings up to this level, you're getting taken off the air. And that's what eventually is going to happen to everyone's favorite, if you're a neckbeard, a basement dweller, wrestling program, if they can't keep the ratings up. Just like, it could happen to WWE at some point in time. It's not happening to TNA.
Although I doubt it.
When TNA was doing 80,000, 70,000 people on a Thursday night watching the show, they didn't get canceled because the people that own the network own TNA.
Right.
That's why they weren't canceled.
And now they're out of business. And one
TNA?
more thing before
TNA's still in business.
Oh, they're back, but I'm just saying their team. No, that family's out of business.
Oh, yeah. Carters, yeah. The Carters, yes.
Yeah. So one more piece of business before I go, because I saw this all over the place too on the internet wrestling community. Why is it that everybody has an issue with Triple H and his booking? Because I've got news for you. If you don't know who has creative control in this company right now, I just want to spell it out for you. It's Triple H on Raw and SmackDown and Shawn Michaels on NXT. And they're both going for completely different demographics, if you're not noticing. Because Shawn Michaels has got chicks all over the place. Ass, cheeks, tits hanging out. Shawn Michaels knows what he's going after. Triple H is going after a wrestling audience. And it gets a little edgier every other week, and he's got to rate it back in. Triple H is booking these two shows. He's creative control. He hears the big idea, and he says, okay, you fill out the details, writers, bookers, guys that I have in the room, and then come back to me and tell me what your plan is for the week, and we'll go from there. Right?
You're right. You're right. Back in the day, which was just a couple of years ago, Vince would walk in and look at the script for the show, half-assed, and tear it up. So all the work that all those writers they have hired, who actually wrote for TV shows and movies, all those writers just saw their work thrown out the window. And yes. Vince and Pritchard and maybe one or two writers would craft the show as it went along. And that's why in 2019 they were dying on the vine. They were withering away. It was horrible, horrible stuff. And
so I'll say
NXT was fantastic. The black and gold era of NXT was run by Triple H, and everyone loved it. They loved it better than Raw or SmackDown. Because
I know it was huge. It was going crazy.
Yes.
There's a buddy I work with. He was like, Don, you have got to watch this NXT show, man. It's edgy. It's sharp. It's the best wrestling show out there that nobody's talking about. I started watching it. I was like, you're right. This is amazing. You cannot, and here's the other part I want to say this before we go home tonight. You can't have every wrestling show be a 10 out of 10. You just can't. You can't leave people on the edge of their seats every week like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You've got to have quality shows, but they can't be duds. And that's sort of the issue you and I have had with the wrestling of WWE as of late, is there's been a lot of, it was okay, but nothing really moved. Nothing moved. Monday night on this show on Raw, it moved the needle in every way it should have. Everybody was excited about that show after it was off the air. Am I wrong?
I think that Triple H looked at Twitter and said, they liked the pay-per-view, but they thought it was mid. All right, let's see what we can come up with over the weekend.
And then you know what happened
Sunday
on
and
Monday?
Monday morning. Let's come
what
up with
happened on Monday? What happened on Monday?
It went through the roof.
No, what happened on Monday?
What do you mean what happened on Monday?
Like Mussolini!
Until next week, Gordon Soley saying so long from the Sunshine State.